I'm Nick from Defined Life, and this is our daily Define My Day live session. Hopefully, third time's a charm. This is a Hump Day Wednesday. We're going to get over the hump. The past 2 days have been both interrupted with internet issues. Monday, we kind of recovered from it and kept pressing on. Yesterday, I thought we recovered from it, but the entire house went out. So we could not recover from it. In fact, everybody, all the boys were, or both boys were screaming about the internet not working. Lynn couldn't fill orders. We were having a nice morning emergency. So that seems to be resolved, and we are back to try to do this again. And let's wrap up this vision conversation. So today, we're going to kind of summarize it. We're going to go, long-term vision. We'll hit short-term visualizing, and talk about whatever else you want to talk about. I am trying to rally and get through this because I am having a major allergy attack. I cannot quit sneezing and blowing my nose. So I have loaded up with Zyrtec. I have decongestant that'll hopefully kick in shortly. And I have plenty of Kleenex. If there's a Kleenex shortage soon, it's all my fault. I am having a morning. I'm telling you, I don't know what it is. There's a lot of oak trees around here. I think that's the problem, but I don't know for sure. I know if I go out and look at my cars right now, they are yellow. Not painted yellow, but there is a yellow film of pollen on them, and even sweeping up the patio, you can see it. I'm hurting. I am hurting. This is probably the worst it's been for me in years. But we're gonna get through it. We're gonna get through it. I just might have to pause you and or mute you and blow my nose off camera here. So there's that grossness. Let's get into see who's here so far with us. Pam, good morning. Good to see you. Good morning, Sandy. Good morning, Kathy. Good morning, Janice. Why did I say it that way? Good morning, Janice. Good morning, Sherry. Good to see you. If you guys are keeping up with the news, I guess last night seemed to go pretty well in most places. Not a whole lot of violence, but a lot of protests. Yesterday was the Blackout Tuesday, which I was kind of late to the party on. And there's conflicting opinions about whether that's even worth it. Like one, if all you're doing to advocate for someone is posting a black photo, what are you really doing? But I think it's raising awareness. I think not everybody has it built within them to do something like protest. Nobody, there's other factors. And so going back to that thing we posted yesterday, everybody has their own lane and everybody has their own level of commitment and energy. But I think as long as everybody's doing something, then as long as you're comfortable with it in yourself, then that's good, right? So everybody's going to have their own thing. For us, one of the things I saw someone else do, and I wanted to do it here also, I posted this yesterday on our Facebook page. I would love it if we have users that know of a Black-owned business that they would like to see supported. Post it. Find this post on our Facebook page and post it in the comments. If you can link to it, great. I would like to support a business. Being a fellow business owner, I know how hard it can be, and it's harder for minority-owned businesses. So if there is a business owned by a Black person, Black family, we would certainly like to show our support. So post in the comments. I'm going to go through and support whatever businesses I can by purchasing something from them. The Black business that I feel that I can support is Eric Thomas's. Eric Thomas is one of his businesses or one of his associates' businesses. Last weekend, I actually purchased the Make Real Estate Real course. They had it half off. It was $1,000. So I went ahead and purchased it. And this guy, Jamal King, created a course to teach people how to get into real estate with not an extremely large amount of money. I listen to their Secret to Success podcast every week, almost every week. Sometimes I have to catch up. And I like what these guys have to say. They're a bunch of smart guys. They talk real about personal development, motivation. And Jamal King's Make Real Estate Real program, I wanted to take advantage of it half off, right? I thought about buying it at $2,000, didn't quite make the purchase, but at half off at $1,000, I thought, you know what? If it can teach me a little bit, if I can start investing in properties, and it's sometime in the future, I might not be ready right now, but sometime in the future, if I want to start getting into that, I'll have greater awareness and I'll know more, and I can use the tactics that he teaches. So I just recently supported his business and would highly recommend it. Whether you listen to their podcast, they have like they have like Breathe University, where like when you want to succeed so bad, I can't remember what they're saying is, but when you want to succeed so bad or as bad as you want to breathe, something like that, right? So, if I could make a recommendation of what minority-owned business or Black-owned business to support, I would say it would be any of the Eric Thomas affiliated businesses. At the very least, listening to his podcast and seeing what they're all about. So if you have one that you would like to support, please, put them in the comments of this post in our Facebook page and visit some of the other ones that you might want to see. I think you might want to support. The only one we have in there right now is a bakery or a cakery, I think is what they call themselves, in Oneonta, New York. If anybody's in the Oneonta area, show them some love. But yeah, so that's one of the small things I thought we could do as a community. But always trying to like keep my mind open going forward. So how are you? How is everybody? I know we cut short yesterday. My vision for yesterday's session didn't see it ending abruptly. We tried to get back running again, and then it ended shortly after that, and then I was completely dead in the water. So I apologize for leaving you all early yesterday. Spent some time working on it, changed some settings. Turns out yesterday's problem seemed to be on the Verizon side. So I spent some time trying to fix our side. Usually it's your router or something like that. But I couldn't get the router to come back up and ended up having to reset the Verizon equipment, and that fixed it. So I'm hoping that doesn't continue to happen. Otherwise, we have to get somebody from Verizon in here, I guess. And it's like the equipment that I don't think I can replace. So I don't know if they're even coming on site yet. I know we're supposed to be opening up in the green, I think on Friday here in Pennsylvania, or my part of Pennsylvania. But even I made a quick run to Home Depot today, and sorry for the sniffling. I made a quick run to Home Depot, and I'm noticing some people walking around the store without masks on. And I don't know if it's they like lightened up the policy or if it's people protesting the mask wearing, but I still will be wearing a mask. You know what I'm finding myself like as I'm walking into Home Depot? I'm finding that I have to make a conscious decision not to shop. I was only going in there for something specific and small. And, I find that I'm becoming addicted to food shopping and Home Depot shopping. And I'm becoming real conscious of that. And I have to make this like I don't need lighting. I don't need more tools. I don't need, eventually we're going to need plants if we want to start landscaping a little bit, but there's a lot of stuff I don't need, but I can see like I don't have a whole lot else going on, right? We work, we hang out at home, we're doing things with the house, but mainly my two reasons to go out are to buy food and to go to Home Depot for something to the house, and usually that's just curbside pickup. So I found myself as I was walking in not getting curbside pickup. I found myself compelled to shop. So I had to make this conscious decision to just go to exactly what I needed and get out and get back home and get back to work. So it was it's funny just like how things change. Like I'm not a Home Depot guy. I'm not a handy guy, but kind of feeling a little bit addicted to it. Oh, got a little something on my shirt there. Um, so yeah. Also, in this reopening, my person that cuts my hair, love her. She's awesome. But she called me yesterday to set up an appointment, and I said, I'm just not ready. I actually have clippers coming today, so this will be gone tomorrow. I will be going short. But I told her, I said, you know, I wish I could. I'd love to, but I'm just not ready. I kind of want to see what happens, and I'm just going to go with clippers for a while and see what happens. So I felt bad, but it's just not in me to be that close to anybody at the moment. So, let me see. Let's get into the comments here. So who have I said? I said hello to Sherry. Good morning in the user group. Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Deborah. Sherry says, good morning, Nick. Have you ever considered getting allergy shots prior to the strongest seasons? I know that with COVID it wasn't possible, but it might help in the future. So, Sherry, when I was a teenager, I got allergy shots. They never really seemed to work. Now, I don't know how good I was because I was not very consistent or disciplined that early in life. And so I don't know how consistent I was about getting the shots. But I probably need to be tested all over again. And I will have to go out and try something like that again. Because, I've had a couple of years where it's actually gone really well. And I don't know if it's in relation to my diet and exercise and my overall health routine. Like maybe my body's level of inflammation has an impact on it. I don't know, because the past couple of years have actually been pretty good for me. This year, I feel at times like I've just been run over by a truck. I mean, like sinus pressure and how itchy my face is. It's awful, and I'm much better now than I was even half an hour ago. And I took a shower and like tried to get cleaned up just to make sure that I was completely clean. So I don't, I wasn't motivated to do anything more extreme like shots, but I may be, if this continues, or like maybe I just now make an appointment for, next spring. Because I know the one allergist that I know, like they're setting appointments like 6 months ahead of time. I may have to do that. But yeah, thank you. It's kicking my butt right now. Good morning, Debbie, and good morning in the user group. So in this, today I was, as I'm driving in this new neighborhood, right? I'm going to the Home Depot, and I remembered, I even had to call my brother, like, do you remember having a customer over this way? And he couldn't remember because he never really did the on-site visits. And my business 10 years ago was business to consumer, a business. Like we would do in-home computer repairs. We had a small storefront, like 600 square foot storefront where people would bring their computers in, and we sold little accessories and things like that. And then we had this one customer that, like, my brother would work in the store and I would be the one to go out on site. And we had this one customer that lived over this way, and I could not remember who it was, but I did remember. And I knew it stuck in my mind because he was a real pain in the butt. He was that guy that, like, it was like you would fix it and then something else would go wrong, and he would find like this goofy association as to how you caused the problem, the new problem, based on what you did to fix it. So it was always like callback after callback after callback, and we had to start avoiding the guy. It was kind of like, it was like, look, I like, there's no way this one thing is related to another thing. And he would continue to mess things up, and like, he'd mess up his printer, and then he would like, oh, well, it worked fine until you got here, like that kind of a thing. So it was like one of those types of relationships, and we had to try to find ways to distance ourselves from him. And it was every time we'd see his number come up on the caller ID, be like, oh boy, here we go, right? I mean, it's just like that kind of a thing. But it took me down this track in the shower today, actually, about how like relationships change. And I saw it early on in consumer, like our customer relationships, before I started to notice it in my interpersonal relationships. And starting off a business, like you're just happy to have anybody pay for your services, right? And you tend to give away a lot of services. And a lot of times what happens, like there's a book called The E-Myth, where, they talk about how like people that start businesses, like it's almost better off to not start a business you know anything about. Like, I don't know how to cut hair, so I should start a hair cutting business. I should start a barbershop so that I don't try to do the cutting myself. And the reason for that is when you know how to do it yourself, instead of working for an employer, you're just working for your customers and you're not running your business. The goal would be to step back, let other people do the boots on the ground work, and you manage and grow the business, right? And what happens, especially if you're a contractor, if you're a barber, if you're a computer repair guy like I was, is that you're just running around from job to job to job. And instead of one boss, you have 100 bosses and you're not growing the business. And a lot of times you're actually working for less money than you could if you were working for somebody else. So, like we would charge, I think it was in the very beginning, $50 an hour to be on site. But, sorry, I'm wiping my nose here. But what would happen was that, it would take time to drive there. I'd talk to the person about what their problems are. I'd fix the problem. But then if it became a more time, like if it took more time than I thought, I'd feel really sensitive about charging them more money. And I was just happy to get the money. So I'd end up spending much more time on the problem than my time was worth. And as a business owner, if you're not growing the business, like the entire business can't succeed, and you can't end up making $15 an hour as a business person. And that's kind of what I was doing a lot of times. I'd work. I remember we had a business customer whose server went down, and I worked all through the weekend. I mean, I barely got like 5 hours of sleep because I was so determined to get it back up and running for Monday. And by Monday, I was physically ill from not working. I got it repaired, but I remember I didn't make, I mean, if I charged them $500 for an entire weekend's worth of work and not sleeping, there was no way that it was worth it for me. As any, it wouldn't be worth it for anybody to damage yourself that much. And then, the remainder of the week, I was exhausted and recuperating from that, and not making, more money. So, and you see it with contractors, like the contractors that run a good business, like a business, show up on time, provide accurate quotes, respond quickly, treat it like a process. It's the guys that, I'm a, bathroom remodeler. I know how to remodel bathrooms really well, but if they don't know how to run a business, then, they don't show up when they're supposed to. They like, you can see a lot of inconsistencies, and the business doesn't grow because they're just running from project to project, and not really, they're probably overworking themselves and not making money. So, as I became aware of this problem as a business owner, I started trying to change the relationships that I had already established. My relationships were built on, just being happy to get business. And, I was extremely cheap. So people kept coming back because I was extremely cheap. I was highly responsive and extremely cheap. And I would do anything to keep somebody happy, including work for free. And as I tried to change that, as I had my first child, as we had a home, as I had to pay my brother a salary, all the things like rent and insurance and all these things that started adding up. And I realized the math wasn't working. I had to start increasing prices. I had to start being competitive. I mean, we were so much cheaper than anybody else. It was a no-brainer to not use us. But for me, I had to work twice or three times as much to make the same amount of money as another business would. Again, having to pay myself, somebody else, and pay all the bills. And so I started changing these relationships, and people started getting angry at me. Like, wow, that's a lot more than last time, or even telling them ahead of time. So we would tell them, our new rates are, and they would get so angry. And you know, it changes. Like, so and what happened was those people didn't stay with us. They went and found somebody else that was extremely cheap, and we had to find a new group of customers that wanted really good service and were willing to pay for it. That's not an easy transition to make, but it has to happen. It has to happen for most businesses. And so you can bring that analogy or that situation into our personal relationships. When we are just happy, even like a romantic relationship, when you're just happy to have anybody, then you tend to just take any romantic relationship you can get, and then when you realize like this isn't okay for me, and you decide like my standards need to be higher for the way I'm treated and the way I treat others and the kind of relationship I want, then either you have to adapt to each other or you have to change relationships, right? And interpersonal friend relationships are the same way. When you're just happy to have a friend, when you're happy to have some type of support, then you tend to make relationships, with just about anybody. But as you grow and develop, and you start to change your life goals, your vision, the direction of your life, then you start looking around at the relationships you have, and chances are a lot of those people are not going to be along for the ride, and they might even get mad at you for abandoning them, quote unquote abandoning them. What you're not doing, you're just changing the direction of your life. And to bring it really close right now is that some of us might have people in our lives that are, still racist, right? I've thought about those relationships that I've had with people that are, some people are like quietly racist, and other people are verbally like they say things that are racist. And those are the relationships that, like at first years ago, I was kind of like, that's just who they are. And then as time goes on and you start to grow and mature and start understanding, then you start distancing yourself. And I think now people are getting to the point from a broad perspective in society as to now challenge it, which I think is a great place to be, where we say, like, when you hear somebody say something, rather than just walk away and not be associated with it, I think now we turn and say, that's not okay, right? Like that's not an okay statement. That's not okay word to use. This is not where we should be as a society. So I think it's taking too long. I think for a lot of people, it's taking too long, especially if you're a victim of this. But I can understand the difficulty in, like a lot of people have grown up with family members that, like, you don't want to just, like, you don't want to cause problems, right? You don't want to cause fights and anger and all this other stuff. But I think now, as a society, we're to the point where, we have to challenge the things that we know are wrong, and it feels wrong, and we have to stop ignoring that feeling that we have, right? So, big, long, convoluted thing, but trying to tie it into what we're talking about, on a daily basis in the news right now. It's not an easy topic to discuss, but I know it has to be had in all the kind of corners of the world at the moment. You too have a great day. I will have a fabulous day. It will be full of sniffling, but it will be fabulous. Sherry says, gotcha about the shopping. So I come with a list in hand and don't get anything else. Saw about a dozen masks being used to get in store, and employees at the fast food window wearing masks under the chins. Tough situation for everyone. I know how hard it is to work 8+ hours in one. I agree. And you see people getting really lax with it because right now people aren't afraid, right? People are just not afraid about it. And that's what I worry about with people going back to work is that you're going to have people in different situations where they're not comfortable being in the office around other people. I'm lucky in that we work from home and we can pick and choose where we go to be in public. And I don't think this is gone. I think our attention is away from it. I think maybe it's not as bad as a lot of people are thinking, but it's still here. And I think a lot of people are still going to get sick and possibly die. And I think we still need to be aware of it, regardless of where the focus of the world is right now. So for me and my family, our goal has to be, keeping ourselves healthy, and doing what we have to do. So I'm still going to distance myself. I can afford, from a, I can afford to keep my time and attention in the places where I need it to be. I'm not at the mercy of an employer. And so I can sympathize with somebody that is. And it's a tough situation. Tough situation. Good morning, Angel. Good to see you. Thanks for joining me. All right, so let's wrap up this vision conversation. So we have two components of it. We have long-term vision, knowing the direction that you're going, and we have short-term vision and visualizing, picturing what today is going to look like, and then following through with it, acting it out, right? So the first component of this is knowing where you're going. In my own experience, for a lot of my life, I just knew, I had a direction I was going. So if we look at it like a north, south, east, and west kind of thing, I knew for me, I had to walk north, right? And I knew east felt wrong, west felt wrong, south certainly felt wrong. So I just meandered north, maybe northwest, maybe northeast, but I just knew I had to keep walking. And for me, what I found was that the more I walked in that direction, I would bump into things that I didn't like, right? I would go down a path that was wrong, and I would realize, okay, that doesn't feel healthy. And then I would change course a little bit and keep trying to find this place in the north that I need to go. And so over time, I refined that direction. And if you know navigation, there's 360 degrees, right? 0 being due north. Now, for me, the proper direction might have been 10 degrees north, right? 10 degrees, just right of north. I just knew I had to go somewhere in this direction. And as I was figuring things out, as the fog kind of lifted, as I realized, computer repair was what I was good at, not what I loved, right? I liked helping people. I liked that feeling of seeing somebody's problem resolved, right? And then I realized I actually liked seeing people resolve their own problems. I liked teaching people how to be empowered and how to fix problems on their own. So that took 15 years of figuring things out, right? I made a lot of mistakes. I thought I could help people grow their businesses and do their advertising online and that sort of thing. And then I found out I didn't like client management, right? So, we were good at these things. I just didn't have that feeling, right? And thankfully, I had the ability to keep pivoting until I found the direction I wanted to go, which brought me here with you. And so, what I would ask of you is to really evaluate, every day as you're going through your Define My Day process, as you're going through that journaling process, as you're planning out what you're doing for your month, you want to try to think to yourself, is this, did this make me feel good? Can I do this every day? Why yes, why no? And is there something in here? Is this part of the direction I'm going, but am I missing something, right? And tomorrow, we're going to talk more about this, who you are and who you want to be. We're going to talk more about that tomorrow. And there's a couple of tactics that I've come across along the way that we're going to talk about. But really what I want you to do is I want you to understand that when there's a vacuum of direction, And you can see it in organizations, you can see it in countries, you can see it in your own life, you can see it in your family, right? When there is no direction set, either by your supervisor or yourself, when you're not going in one direction, you tend to go in all directions. You can't prioritize what is happening in a day or what you need to do in a day when you have no direction to assign that to. And you can call it purpose, you can call it whatever you want, goals, vision, whatever, but you have to have something you're working toward. If not, you're just going to work toward everything and you're going to spin your wheels, you're going to get tired, you're going to get exhausted, and you're going to feel defeated. You have to have something you're working toward. It can be your health, it can be changing the world, it can be a lot of things. You have to decide what it is for you. Okay? Now, short term today, right? This visualizing thing we were talking about. So we're talking about yesterday, started to anyway. I don't even know how far we made it right now. Phil Mickelson talks about visualizing a shot, like stepping up to the ball, going through the entire shot, like pre-shot process, taking the swing, watching the ball going down range, landing, rolling, wherever, and like that whole process, right? And we need to do that ourselves in our life, right? Whether you're walking into a sales meeting and you're like, you even picture yourself saying hello to somebody walking through the doors, how you're going to greet everybody, where you're going to sit, who's sitting where. Like, the more you can visualize that, the more your brain is going to become comfortable with that environment and that experience, and you can adapt along the way as things change, but it will be more familiar to you and you'll be able to understand it more. For me, when I'm planning out my day, as I'm time blocking my day, I'm visualizing how things are going to go. I'm even visualizing the struggles that I'm going to have. Like, you're not going to want to wake up at 6 o'clock today. So knowing that, this is how I'm going to handle it. At noon, you are not going to want to take a walk with the boys today. Knowing that, this is how you're going to handle it. The boys are going to push back. They're going to want to still play video games. This is what you're going to say. Look, I understand you want to play. You can come back and play later on this afternoon. Right now, we're going outside. And then they're going to push back more, and this is how I'm going to respond to it. So as I'm filling things into my time block, I am picturing the struggles, the hurdles I'm going to have, and I'm also visualizing how it's going to feel. So when I'm done with my walk this afternoon, I'm going to feel good about accomplishing that, right? Even last night, I'm sweeping the patio. I don't enjoy sweeping the patio, but it felt good to get it done. So next time when I want to sweep the patio or when I don't want to sweep the patio, I'm going to visualize how that feels. I'm going to experience how that felt to get it done. I'm going to remember that experience and I'm going to project it forward to next time I want to do it. And I'm going to do it again knowing that it's going to feel good to get it done, right? Same thing with exercise. Same thing with projects. Yesterday, there was a project with work that I had not been putting off, but it was kind of hanging over my head and it needed to get done eventually. So I sat down yesterday and I said, look, you have 2 hours to get this stuff done. I sat down, I got it done. I felt my brain pulling away. Like, you don't want to be doing this. Let's go find something else to do. Let's watch the news. Let's read an article. Let's go to Facebook. Let's, go walk outside. And I had to keep telling myself, like, no, because I know when it's done, we're going to feel really good about it. And so I sat there for 2 solid hours and did the things I needed to do. And then I had that experience of like, oh, how great does this feel, right? And so I pictured exactly what it would look like for me to sit there, do the work, and all of my actions aligned with that visualization until it was done, right? And then that feeling, I could kind of relish that feeling, and that's what I'm going to project forward for the next time. So picture the process of what you're going to do today, and when things start to happen that don't line up with that, right? You can either adapt and realign yourself, or you will clearly reject those things and say, no, this isn't the plan. I need to stick with what I am picturing happening today. I believe that we are close to a new wave with the large groups standing together. I agree. I agree. So we're talking again about this sort of the demonstrations and things that are going on right now. I think it's great. I think it's great. I think that now the people that have been scared to say something because of peer pressure or whatever can now see an example of many other people doing the right thing. And so that'll bring these people out that have been kind of stuck in the middle, bring them out a little bit and empower them to stand up for what they believe is right. And then here, Julie, it's called being mindful. You're correct, right? You're correct. We want to practice mindfulness every day. We want to be disciplined every day. So, we can be mindful in a lot of ways. We can be mindful about the things that that we want to accomplish and making sure we're following through. You can be mindful about when you start something, completing it. And a lot of times, we've talked about this in the past where we start a project, and then once we start hitting resistance, we go find something else to do because it's no fun anymore. Being mindful of completing a task, I'll always advocate for practicing mindfulness. Every morning, meditating. It's so damn hard, right? We don't want to do it, but it doesn't really take physical work or effort. It just takes that mindfulness of trying to be mindful. So this is a little bit more than being mindful, though. This is actually projecting forward. So being mindful is more being present, right? But we want to project forward and be conscious of where we want to go and continue to move in that direction. Hello? Hold on, sorry. What's going on? Can you ask mommy? I'm still doing my video. Sorry. So picture the process, right? So picture the process. That's sorry, the interruption there. That's really what you want to do. You want to practice it beforehand. And we talked yesterday about that experiment with the free throw shooting, right? The people that practiced it in their mind for a week were just as good as the people that physically practiced it for a week also. So when you picture it, you tend to notice the things that are taking you off task, and then you also are more familiar with what success looks like. Angel says, I really worry about this second wave. I really want to get back to work, though not today. Today I'm almost out of spoons. I hear you. And as far as the second wave is concerned, I'm worried about it too. I don't know, especially now with all the protests and people being that close together, I don't know what it's going to look like. It could be, it has potential to be disastrous. I don't know. I hope not. I hope all of this was an overreaction. That would be a great scenario. But I'm still going to be cautious. And I would hate for anybody to get sick because we weren't united in the direction that we were going. And this is kind of like a vision, right? I feel like if there would have been a stronger vision for what success looks like in this pandemic, we would have had, I'm sure there's always going to be opposing points of view, but when there's so much discord and everything seems so fuzzy, then everybody gets to make up their own vision of what success looks like. And I think that's the problem in this specific situation. So what happens is that, other people start creating vision, I just worry people get tired of listening and they will lose their audience. And so that's the thing. And so in business, daily, like a strong leader daily comes with the message every day. This is why we're doing what we're doing. We're doing this because, right? Every day they're coming with this message. And you have to be extremely redundant and repetitive with that message so everybody gets it. And even in management, they talk about the different types of people. There are people, a small percentage, that needs to hear the message once and they go, yep, I'm on board, let's go. And they will live that message because they've heard it once. There is a smaller or a larger group of people that need to hear the message every so often and generally stay on course. And there's a significantly large group of people in an organization that need to hear the message every single day. And if they don't hear the message one day, they will go off course. And I think you can take that into every organization, whether it's your family or your country. People need direction, right? And there's always going to be people that don't like the direction, and like I understand that. But for the most part, if the direction is something that's good and people can see the benefit, then you will get a large group of people that will say, let's go. Like, I get it. Like, even if this isn't 100% my opinion, I get where we're going and I get why. So I'm along for the ride. I will contribute the way I can, right? The problem now is we have so many competing directions. But there's sort of a vacuum in direction, right? So we have people coming up with their own direction, right? And people going multiple different directions. And there's people every day hearing, this and this, and there's a lot of people that are going, I don't know what is right. I don't know which direction I need to go. And so we're making up our own solutions and our own, like our own opinions that are not even based on fact half the time, just based on the fact that it sounds okay. And so I think, for us, we need to be aware of that, right? And I think when a strong leader comes along, and hopefully he or she is a good leader, somebody that has a strong foundation, a moral foundation, she or he will get the people behind her or him and get us united in the right path. But in the meantime, consistently evaluate your vision for yourself. What are your values? Where do you want to go in your life? And how are you living that every day? And the more solid and clear you can be with yourself, the better you will be in your own life. And the more you will influence the people around you. You'll positively influence the people already in your life, and you will attract people that identify with that sense of vision and purpose and goodness in you. And they will gravitate toward you and you will gravitate towards them. The more clear you are in this, the more familiar you are in this, the more you will be able to see it in other people. And then you will come together with other people that you go, yeah, I get that, right? And it happens. It's hard to understand if you haven't experienced it, but you probably have. You might not be able to point it out yet, but you have. And so I see that in my own life is that the more I can communicate, the more clear I am in my direction, the easier it is for me to say, you know what, you're not part of my direction. I like, this isn't okay for me. Or other people go, yeah, I get this. Let's talk more about it, right? Let's get together and do something about it. So the more clear you are, the healthier you will be in life overall. And the more you'll accomplish and the more authentic you'll feel. And ultimately, the fewer regrets you'll have at the end. And that, for me, when somebody reaches the end of their life and regrets how they have spent their time, knowing that there is no more time left, that to me is one of the greatest tragedies in life. And that's what I'm fighting against for myself. That's what I'm fighting against for the people that I love. And that's what I'm fighting against for you. I don't want anybody that listens to me to reach the end of the line and go, I F that up. Knowing that there's no way to fix it at this point. They're out of time. The bank account balance is empty. I do not want that for you. I do not want for you, if your direction is 15 degrees north, I don't want you to go 90 degrees. If your direction is north, I don't want you going east and realizing when you're out of gas when the account is empty that you went the wrong way the entire time. Our lives are way too precious to waste it and live it for something that doesn't align with who we should be. All right, so we made it through an entire session today with no internet problems, I think. I am clear. I didn't sneeze. I only sniffled a little bit. I appreciate you being here. That's how I visualize this whole thing going. I appreciate you being here with me. Tomorrow we're going to get more into like how to figure out what your vision might be for yourself in the future. So I look forward to talking to you about that. I hope you have a great Wednesday today. Happy Hump Day. Get over the hump. Fulfill what you want to fulfill today. And I will see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Take care.